Welcome to Remix EQ Live, where we are amplifying equity with a remix of information, interviews, and inspiration. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Tate, and today I'm broadcasting live from Savannah, Georgia, where I live. For those joining us today, please drop a greeting of choice in the comments. Let us know where you are joining from and the equity work you do or aspire to do. And remember, Remix EQ Live is an experience that's meant to be shared. So I encourage you to hit the share and invite buttons and bring along your people, your network, your family, your friends, your peeps to join our Remix EQ community today. While those comments are flowing in and those invitations are flowing out, I want to remind you that Remix EQ Live offers us the opportunity to connect with each other and build community around the equity work being performed throughout the world. And we do this by centering the work. That is, our guests and viewers share examples of what they do in their role or position as a way to illustrate the innovative and effective ways they advance equity in the spaces in which they live, work, and play. Throughout the show and in the comments, I invite you to also share what you do to make the world a more just place. Today, we are back with another Remix EQ Live interview show, and I am remixing it up with Jonathan McCrory, the Executive Artistic Director of the National Black Theater. We are centering equity in our conversation as we discuss the role of Black theater, the institution, and the creatives in amplifying stories of Black life and healing the Black community. So, Remix EQ community, let us welcome Jonathan as we head to the theater. So, welcome, Jonathan. I invite you to introduce yourself, and as you do, please share any career twists and turns that have led you to your current role.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan McCrory. My pronouns are he, him. My spirit is a she. I'm hailing from Harlem, New York, where during this time, just realized I've been in New York more than I've been a native of Washington, D.C. So at this moment, I feel like I'm dual native. I have dual nativeship from both Washington, D.C. and New York. The twists and turns. I would say I always like to claim or name this twist and turn because I think it is the invitation that turns that invited a calling into my life that I didn't necessarily seek from a passion-driven space, but from a space of turning lemons into lemonade. And that was when I was in middle school, going into high school. You had to apply. I was going from a private middle school, and then I was trying to go to private high school. I think I did 13 applications, and none of them would accept me because I have a couple learning disabilities, and they didn't think I was going to be able to hold up to the rigor and to the apparatus of what the high school programs were actually doing. So that rejection, deep sense of rejection, created an avenue for my family to think about different ways in which for me to show up in the world. And someone said, oh, he sings a little bit. Oh, he acts a little bit. Maybe he should go into the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. You know what I mean? It would mean that he's in a specialized school and he's not a one of 300 if he went to a regular public high school in the Washington, D.C. area. And so I applied for the music department actually at Duke Ellington, and I got in. I was the last male to get let into the music department for my year. And then they were starting this musical theater program, and I said, okay, I'll try that. And I got into the musical theater department. I was the first and last class of that department to show up because it was a test trial that they were doing at Duke Ellington. So that twist and turn actually forecasted this conversation to happen today. Without that twist or turn, I probably would have been an architect or engineer. I would have been building something else, but I wouldn't have been doing the kind of building that I'm doing today in such a creative way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to hear that. I love your lemon into lemonades and really thinking about how your family supported you to show up in a way that we're thankful for, and we appreciate it because you've been able to make such a great impact on our world. So thank you and welcome. We have a comment. Hello, Jonathan, says Brianna Matchett. And hello, Brianna Matchett. Thank you for commenting and opening up our space. And those of you who are coming in, please be sure to connect with Jonathan in the comments, say hello, ask questions. And then thank you for introducing you to us. And now I would like for you to introduce us to the National Black Theater. So what and who is the National Black Theater, and why is it such an important institution?
Yeah, National Black Theater is a really powerful space and site. We are a half-century-old organization founded by visionary entrepreneur, artist, and really dynamic practitioner, Dr. Barbara Ann Tier, who really believed in the quest of illuminating and unleashing the soul force of humanity through the very specific vernacular of what does it mean to celebrate and center Black culture, Black life, black being, black. So in wanting to do that, she wanted to create a institution that really radioed out a home for us. Something that we as Black bodies have not had since we were ripped from Africa. If we really think about it, we've been in perpetual flight since that egregious act of slavery on this soil. And so what does it mean to now have a space that anchors itself in its truth and authenticity, bought and actually cultivated and groomed and stewarded from a space of saying, welcome to your home away from home, was the slogan of Dr. Barbara Ann Tiers. Another slogan of Dr. Barbara Ann Tiers was, learn to love yourself. So each of the ways in which that we have navigated for that half century until today has been about articulating what is the vernacular, or what is the need and necessity and resources for Black bodies to have a home, for human transformation to show up. There's an equation through the leadership of Sade Lifcott, who's the CEO of National Black Theater, that we've been able to really cultivate and coin, which is Black liberation plus art plus placemaking equals the conditions for humans to be transformed. So NBT for a half century has been creating conditions for humans to know what it means to be transformed of oneself through the vehicle of Black liberation, through the vehicle of art, and through the vehicle of owning one's space and place in placemaking. And so this beautiful founder, Dr. Barbara Ann Tier, was also an entrepreneur. She bought a city block. So why is National Black Theater here today? Is because a Black woman from East St. Louis saw an opportunity on the corner of 125th Street and 5th Avenue and said, I'm gonna buy this as our anchor. I'm gonna buy this as our future promissory note. I'm gonna buy this so that future generations know that they have a space to go to. And I'm one of those future generations. I'm one of those people that she got to pour into when she made that purchase close to 40 odd years ago. And now flashback to the future, I get the opportunity because of that stewardship, because of that fortitude, to be able to animate it with Sade Lifcott and our board chair, Michael Lifcott, and also our entire organization to magnify that promissory note to the future by building a brand new cultural institution. We're in the process of reimagining our city block to build a 20-story high-rise that will allow for a new cultural anchor to happen. Also for artist housing to be a part of our conversation. What does it mean to actually center and ground? When we talk about equity, we talk about the opportunity of what does it mean to create parity inside a cultural landscape. If New York City is the culture capital of the world, how do you begin to center some of the most vulnerable tenants who work inside of that economic system, which are artists? Who develop communities and then forced to leave out because of the scale of the value of what the land then becomes. So what does it mean to create a systemic program that really allows for them to not only just have a place to call home, but have an opportunity to figure out what ownership may look like? What does it mean to own instead of just being renters? So that's a little bit around NBT. There's a vast history that I invite everyone to look into. I invite everyone to type in Dr. Barbara Ann Tier into the search engine and uplift the legacy and history of what that wisdom brings. And also engage with National Black Theater. There's our Instagram and our website. So that's a little bit about NBT. So just a little bit, not the whole gamut, but just a little bit.
Oh, but it was a wonderful little bit. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and the way you describe it. You can really feel that it is an institution, and the language that you used around it, like feeling like you're at home, having land and an actual like physical space to convene in, as well as love, right? Loving yourself and loving the work that you're doing. Like these are all the pieces that make us feel like we belong, make us feel like, we are cared for. And so I was like, it's, I'm really just excited about the language that you used around it, because it's like, this is the theater arts, but this is also a place where we can learn about ourselves or contribute, right, to others learning about who we are and being. And I like your term, like transformation, because that's what we always want to be. We want to transform into better humans, right? Because we are human, and that is like a key, like innate thing for us. So thank you so much. I'm good. I'm all about the National Black Theater. Like, I just love the story. I love the legacy, and I love that it's like going in the future in a different way. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm just so excited. Okay. So for those who are just joining us, this is Remix EQ Live, and we are amplifying equity through a remix of information, interviews, and inspiration. And now that you've had the chance to meet Jonathan and learn more about the National Black Theater, I know you are inviting others to tune in. And of course, I invite you to interact with us, post comments to say hello, ask questions, share examples and learnings as we dive into this interview. You are part of this Remix EQ Live experience. And also, we've started posting a comment prior to the show just to support your engagement with us before, during, and after. So please check it out and continue as this conversation goes beyond the show. So now we center the work. This is an opportunity for us to learn from Jonathan about how and why he uses theater to create space for Black story, creativity, and healing. So Jonathan, in your role as the executive artistic director of the National Black Theater, how do you use theater to amplify stories of Black life and heal Black communities?
I mean, I do it in a couple of different ways. I do it by asking myself the question, in what ways has Jonathan have blind spots in the cultural dexterity, complexity, and velocity of what Black culture is? Who have I actually not given space or place to? Who have I not actually created enough conditions to like put value in that personhood, put value in that cultural practice, put value in where it is? And if I can start to have that conversation, then I can then have the larger conversation of who we as society have done it, right? I sometimes think if I don't call myself into a practice of being in relationship with the task at hand, how can I then call anyone else to be in practice? How can I then invite anyone else to then honor the aspects of Black culture, which is not a monolith. It is it's such a complex web of multiple different interactions and fractions that make up a whole, and it becomes our duty, and I think my responsibility, understanding that I'm a gatekeeper, how I keep the gate open. How do I tend that gate? How do I make sure I use my point of power to open up light and bring light into space? So theater is a really important apparatus, or has become a very important apparatus to me, because from my standpoint, theater is founded and forged from a spiritual act. It is forged from an understanding of really illuminating the spiritual velocity of who we are and how we interact. Theater is very innate to our being as people, right? We tell story naturally. We tell story effortlessly, right? And it's only that in some incidences, what a theater does, or a piece of theater does, it just amplifies that innate ability to a larger aperture, and it allows for more people to be able to watch it. But if you think about what you did as a child, what you did even probably in high school, what we're doing right now is a theatrical invitation that's asking people to engage. If theater does anything, it just creates a container for community to open up their hearts and minds, to have a conversation with a singular narrative, with a singular POV, with having multiple different energies feed that singular perspective, and then allow for it to be animated. So for me, theater is a powerful evocation of what humanity can do. And why I also love theater is that it's also ephemeral, right? It's one of those things that it can never be repeated. Once the moment is done, once the moment is said, I can't rewind and do it exactly the same way. I can only try the best that I possibly can to meet the moment with who I am at this moment now. And so there's something about it that feels so organically a part of nature. There is nothing about nature that can be repeated either. And we think about who we are as individuals, who we are as people, who we are when we look at a tree, when we look at a plant, when we look at mushrooms, when we look at an insect. Nothing is repeatable. It has similar traits, but nothing is repeatable. The same dots on a butterfly change from butterfly to butterfly. It's the same butterfly, but a different butterfly, right? And that is what nature teaches us. And theater actually lives inside that vehicle. It reminds us that that our practice of living, our practice of sharing, our practice of doing is something that we cannot repeat. We can only honor in the moment. And we also have the opportunity to live fully inside of it. So why not do it?
Yes. I'm like, theater is really at like advice and recommendations of how we should be living our lives. I mean, and I'm serious about that. Like, I appreciated the analogy of like a container of community that invites dialogue, which is, I mean, I absolutely support like when we can come together with each other and exchange our ideas, exchange our points of view and perspectives. That's how we grow. As you said earlier, that's how we can have space and time to transform. But I love this like reflection not only on you, right, and how you engage with the world and create space for that, but thinking about the spaces, our physical and our natural spaces around us, reminding us that we are all unique, right? Even in under these categories of identity that we have in our society, that we are all unique and we are here one time, or in this particular form, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're here one time, and so if we are here this one moment, this one time, what can we do to support people so that they can really live their best? I love it. I love it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We have a couple comments. Anthony Young, he's like, facts. I love this new phrase. He loves it. And then Brianna's back again. She's like, you are speaking the gospel truth, and she appreciates and loves your butterfly analogy. So yes, no, it is wonderful.
Well, I mean, I just want to, if I can just extend the butterfly analogy just a little bit further, because I think I think caterpillars teach us the most powerful lesson that lives inside of us as humans, and also butterflies teach us a powerful lesson that we can have as humans, right? But a caterpillar exists to fight actually the DNA inside of it until it's ready. It is always has inside of it the possibilities to become a butterfly. And it's not until it's ready to become it that it actually chooses. So that's the question that we should ask ourselves on a daily basis. What inside of us are we not accepting? A part of our vision, our future, our point of being that we actually could become if we allow ourselves to create the husk of the cocoon and allow for that transformation to happen. What's powerful about that transformation of the cocoon, if we think about this process, it's quite profound what nature teaches us, right? Inside the cocoon, the caterpillar breaks every bone, every aspect, every possible space inside of them to become something new. And what is happening inside of that cocoon, we have no idea. If fear is happening, if they're scared, if there is courageous heart inside of it, we have no idea. But we know what's happening is that what is being transformed and transmuted will come out as something brand new, something that it has the soul of who they are, but it's something different inside of it. So then where is our cocoon process? How do we go through that cocoon process? And then lastly, when you think about the butterfly, you think about the mechanism of a butterfly, a delicate insect. If we touch it with our hands, it is known to break its wings. Yet, its wings can cause a tsunami to show up on our shores. Mm-hmm. The butterfly effect teaches us that we can be as delicate in our righteousness, we can be soft in our being, and powerful in our transformative presence. And why not allow for that kind of transmutable understanding? What nature teaches us to be a part of how we as humans, in the vastness of who we are, show up for each other. Because if we were soft in our being, but powerful in our presence, who would we be? And how will we interconnect with each other in a powerful way?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I appreciate you making us reflect on who we are and what, like, the scope of what we could be going forward if we just take care of ourselves and take care of each other. So now on the show, we love to celebrate the works and happenings of our Remix EQ Live guests. It's just what we do. And today we want to celebrate Fat Ham.
Yes!
Yeah, I'm so excited. A Pulitzer Prize-winning play written by James Imes and directed by Saheem Ali, and it's a co-production of the Public and National Black Theaters. And this play, Fat Ham, is making its debut on Broadway. So Jonathan, please tell us about this new award-winning Broadway play, Fat Ham, what it is about, and why is its debut on Broadway such a momentous occasion?
Okay, there's a lot. Well, one, I have to shout out to Saheem because today is actually his birthday. So big shout out to Saheem on his birthday. So Fat Ham is a beautiful invocation of what it means to be of equity, parity, and what it means to actually crack the glass ceiling a little bit. National Black Theater, one of the oldest Black theater, continually run Black theaters in the country, still operated and owned and run by a woman of color. We will be the third Black theater in the history of Broadway to actually transfer a show to Broadway and be a co-producer on the actual commercial production. That is historic. We are making our Broadway debut also. National Black Theater is making its Broadway debut as a Black theater inside of this very, the Great White Way, as they call it, right? And what I think is very interesting is that over a century old system, which is what Broadway is having this, we're having this conundrum of, can culture, truly a Black theatrical institutional cultural frame, live inside of the Broadway spectrum? And also, how do we create a container that allows for this dynamic, gorgeous piece of work that is built off of radical imagination of someone pinning themselves into the future? James Imes wrote this piece because he was seeking to radically center the lemons that he received into lemonade. He was told that Shakespeare wasn't for him, that he couldn't hold the vernacular of Hamlet, right? And so then what did he do? He did an allegorical spinoff and created Fat Ham, which was a Black queer Southern story around a Black queer family who does barbecue, right? And utilizing the premise of Hamlet to reimagine and tell its own cultural narrative. And then illuminated by Sahim Ali and a beautiful cast of talented, gorgeous humans, and also a gorgeous group of designers who many of them are making their Broadway debut. Sahim, James, many of the cast members, many of the designers. It's just like this moment of radical shifting that is giving proof that we can create dynamic change by also taking risk. That risk does not leave itself to only a certain sect of our community. That it actually has to be beholden of every section of our community. And that we actually need to create capacity to allow for people to not only dream a dream, but actually manifest that dream, right? And so Fat Ham is just a gorgeous, gorgeous thing that's happening right now. Previews, NBT actually, and many of the folks making their Broadway debut. It happened on Tuesday. This past Tuesday was when we all the show had its first preview, which meant that we all broke into the industry in a certain new kind of way on Tuesday. And then and on April 12th, it will be its opening, and it will run currently through June. So I invite everyone to come and check out Fat Ham, to live inside of the story of what the opportunity is, to really center what it means to be a Black queer individual, searching for one's voice and owning one's possibility to build family, and also to look at what does it mean to reclaim your narrative? What does it mean to center one's narrative? And I think Fat Ham does it so beautifully and eloquently. And I think that it's a powerful moment. I hope that everyone in the community that's able to make it is able to see it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, I love like there's this I love that one, history is being made and we're living while it's happening. So we love that. And then like this opportunity to move into this space where we haven't been, like the Black community hasn't been, in Broadway hasn't been as much and hasn't been recognized, so that we can tell stories and share narratives and center Black life. You talked a little bit about like it's momentous because it's the third production to become a commercial production on Broadway. And I wonder if you could speak to like what are some of the structural barriers that have kept Black theater and plays out of Broadway, and what is being done to overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, so if someone wants to look at the seasons of Broadway, Black playwrights and Black works have actually had life on Broadway for in that century of time, right? But it's always about following the numbers. Economics, the economics is actually where transformation sometimes does lie, right? And many of the producers who are transferring that work are not of the community, right? They're not Black people or BIPOC people. Many of the people who are actually transferring that work are white. Are people not of the culture per se, and many of the works that are being groomed and actually nurtured for that transfer are happening in PWI locations, right, and not necessarily happening in Black or BIPOC indigenous locations where that culture is forged, housed, and actually groomed. The reason why, there are a lot of reasons why. One is that Black theaters and many BIPOC theaters in general has historically been disenfranchised in its philanthropic resources, so not allowing it to be competitive with its counterparts. Why? Other reasons why is that the system of Broadway has been led primarily from the gaze of white capitalism, Western capitalism, and trying to and secured by that in a lot of ways. Why? Is because the economic engine that Broadway is asking for, many Black theaters, that is entire operating budget. When you talk about a capitalization of a play, this, like some plays and some musicals, sometimes you're talking about $2.5 million as the capitalization goal. If you're talking about a musical, you're starting at $10 million as your capitalization goal, right? Now, many of the nonprofit spaces, PWI primarily, that have transfer shows to Broadway, they're not necessarily one of the co-producers. They're one of the originating producers who their work is being transferred to Broadway. However, many Black theaters who probably potentially have work that could have transferred by now to Broadway, it's not transferring because they don't have connections to the philanthropic community or the producerial community that would be able to witness that work, see it as valuable, creating the mechanisms to bring community to come see it, and then actually transfer it to a space like Broadway for commercial work. And so the mechanisms are deep, the mechanisms are real. How we are meeting it in this moment, I mean, the labor is real, Eric. I don't want to mince words. The labor is real. The system. When we talk about systems of oppression and systems of actually Western capitalism, you're talking about the bedrock of the American DNA. And so, how do you change DNA code? How do you go in and cleanse that DNA code? That's really what you're asking for. How has NBT met this moment, so that we could stand in our truth while meeting erasure every step of the way. And that truth is that this is about capital gain. This is about ticket sales. This is about needing to make a weekly nut of ticket sales in order to make X, Y, and Z happen. So I would just uplift and say that we are meeting it with the understanding that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, that our ability and capacity to hold space for our community is our rightful duty. And Sade and I are really excited about the ways in which we'll be able to share the aperture of this opportunity with more. Our goal is to make more space so that we're not the only ones. We are with a family, a group of people, so that we all rise together.
No, thank you so much for sharing both about Fat Hand, but also really sharing like what it means to make this such a momentous occasion and breaking down all those structural barriers. I think many of our viewers who are in the Remix EQ community work to advance equity in some way in their job across different fields. And so I think in one way, it's great to hear that some of the things related to capitalism, related to relationships and like you said, erasure and exclusion, right? These are things that we see in other fields and other areas of that work. And so I think it's great that you were able to illuminate that with your response, because you're right? These are like strong systems of oppression that we are all trying to overcome, so that we can make our spaces that we work in better, but also like the spaces that we interact outside of our work better. Because to go to the theater, to see yourself reflected on stage, to see yourself reflected not only in the actors and actresses, but like the person who imagined this story to be told, and that's the story that they are sharing. A little bit of that could be something that you relate to, or something that your friends or your children could relate to. And so like you have overcome so much to make that happen and to create that space. And so I just want to say thank you for sharing the challenges, and then also breaking through them, so that you can be on stage and we can look to the National Black Theater and look to Fat Am as an example of transforming, breaking some of those bones in the cocoon and to become this butterfly. So appreciate it. And yes, if you are or near New York City, headed to the Big Apple, or you need a reason to go to the city that never sleeps, get your Fat Ham tickets, support and celebrate this momentous debut on Broadway. Please, I'm excited. This is great. Thank you so much. So here in the community, this Remix EQ community is also a learning community. And so we are always ready to add examples and strategies and tools and language to our repertoire, to help us think about how we can make the world a more just place. And one, it helps us connect to you and visualize the important work that you and your colleagues are doing. But it also enables us to learn from and with you about the experiences of the people and the places that you serve. So I'd love for you to share one key learning from your transformative work in the theater arts that can inform the practice of others who are also working to amplify voices, heal communities, or create space that has not yet been created.
Your labor is the center on the very presence of your breath. Understanding that your inhale is the gift that tells you have more to do, and your exhale is the gift that allows for you to wrap grace, love, and possibility or with anyone that you're around and everything you're around. That your labor is not to do anything but to be simple. Your labor is to appreciate the smallest things that happen inside your body, so that you can begin to own the largest transformative things that happen outside inside the world because of you. That we don't need to be looking at destinations that look at, that calls for accomplishments to be the moniker of our success, that we actually look at them as accomplishments and we find the destination that allows for us to be liberated. That if the destination is about your liberation, then make everything about what you do, every step about what you're about to do, where you're about to go, to be a place where your liberation is the pinnacle, so you can invite me into my own liberation, and I can invite you into your own liberation when we're in presence with each other. Find that flock and understand that your breath is the gateway to that flock.
Thank you. Liberation is the destination. Yes. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I'm so excited that you had an opportunity to come on to our show. I think we have a comment that I think summarizes Dr. Anderson, a past Remix EQ guest. She loves how you use your strengths to see the beauty of the world around you, not the darkness that many see, and how your gifts allow you to see that we are similar to each other and connected, not different and disconnected. I want you to speak to today's children. Yes. Thank you. No, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to share your experiences, your expertise with us. It has been a joy. I love your language and how you speak of the world and speak of your work and speak of the change that is to come. So thank you so much. It has been heard. It has been seen. And I appreciate you. So please consider coming back anytime, because I know new things are coming. Okay, new things are coming. So if I can't find it first, you let me know. I would love for you to come back and share the good news of all that is Black theater, National Black Theater, and all the creatives inside with us. So thank you all who have joined us today. Just a reminder, I will be back on Friday, April 14th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern for another Remix EQ live episode. I will interview Kimberly Seals Allers, the founder of Earth and the executive director of Narrative Nation, Inc. And I'm excited to amplify her efforts to reverse the narrative of Black maternal health in her pursuit of birth justice. And I'm doubly excited because this show will be happening during Black Maternal Health Week, so we can add to the conversation and the national dialogue. So please watch your feed, check your inbox so that you have the details to tune into the next show. And of course, share these deets with your peeps. And until then, please visit the Remix EQ Live webpage for episode recordings and more information about our inspiring guests like Jonathan McCrory and upcoming events. And discover new ways to support the Remix EQ community via donation or purchasing merch like our Amplified notebook. And while you're there, on the show's webpage, please poke around the website and learn more about my business, Blue Knowledge, and our growing families of brands and services, which advances equity in schools and communities. You can follow us on LinkedIn. And of course, I invite you to connect with me too. Before we close out, we have a comment from Anthony Young. Refreshing. And thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Remix EQ community, for your engagement, your comments, your encouragement, and your rally, which is how we recognize, appreciate, learn, love, and take care of you as you work to make the world a more just place. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Tate, and this is Remix EQ Live. See you next time.